If Men Won't Stand Up for Their Own Rights, Who Will? By Michael Thompson for the Falsely Accused Network. Perfectly good question. But the thing is, you have to be honest about the reasons why this is so. If you're not honest, you cannot go any further. You cannot properly advocate for men's rights. Falsely Accused Network. Now let's get into this. I'm going to dump some harsh realities on you, okay? In recent years, I've observed a concerning trend that demands our attention: the pervasive apathy among men when it comes to advocating for their own rights and well-being. Silence perpetuates problems that can otherwise be addressed through collective action. That is true, right? Now, the contrast is striking. When women perceive threats to their rights, false framing right here. This is why you have the problems you do. Michael Thompson. Women's advocacy rights don't advocate for women. They attack men. Feminism is a hate group against men. Because if they have issues as a sex, who's the enemy? We are. They see us as the members of the opposing team, and they work to harm us. If you can't come to this harsh reality, you are wasting your time, right? Now, they organize protests, launch sophisticated lobbying campaigns, form advocacy groups, and generously fund organizations dedicated to advancing their interest. And their interest is harming us. This coordinated approach has proven remarkably effective at driving social change and policy reform. That's right. Like VAWA, right? Or like treating domestic violence, treating the men as perpetrators. The police come, they automatically arrest the man. Those are the policies. So since those are the policies, you have to come to terms with women who are doing this on purpose. They see us as their enemies, or we should be seeing them as our enemies, right? Now, men, however, tend to remain silent observers rather than active participants in shaping policies and cultural norms that affect them. Right. And I'm going to explain why, Thomas, Michael. Men see each other as opponents of the opposing team. We don't have any kind of uh, affinity for one another. When men form groups, it's always for the gain of status somehow to get the girl. This is why. For example, men will form unions. That's to gain or protect status. They're not interested in each other. They're interested in the status on an individual level. And so they'll actually work with the men in unions. It's about gaining more money or keeping hold of the money they've got. The other case is the military. The military is about taking resources from an outgroup of men. You go to war, you murder those men, you steal their stuff, you take it home, and you bribe women again. Right. This all the status gain is about getting the girl. A lot of women marry vets because of the benefits, the military benefits. Now, men will also form AAA meetings because it's something that personally affects them. They might gain friendships, male friendships at AA meetings, but that's not why they went there. It was strictly for their own personal benefit. They did not go there to help out other men. They went there for themselves. And again, they might learn to care about other men through their experiences at AA meetings, but they don't originally go there for that reason. Sober men, non-alcoholics, don't bother with AA meetings. Right. And also, this is very insulting. If you don't believe that women and men are against, there's no fight against, how come this picture shows a man talking to all women? Right. Now, the last kind is, of course, the racism, which is a hatred of your fellow man. What's the KKK all about? There's an outgroup of men who might get together with one of our ladies, who might steal our women. That's the main fear of the racist man. Whether whether she's stepping out on him, or more likely that he's out competing you and attracting her, right? So men will form hate groups against other men, but men will not form hate groups against women. We worship women. Our whole desire to gain status is to get the girl. So you have to come to terms, these harsh terms of what motivates men, right? Now, here's a major failure. This isn't about competing with women's advocacy. So you are framing women's hatred of men as mere advocacy that has nothing to do with us. Right. And this is why you are a failure. It's about recognizing that effective advocacy requires active participate for those directly affected. Dude, you're called falsely accused network. Who does the false accusations? It's women accusing men. So you can't call yourself that without admitting that women are the ones who are attacking us. So then to try and turn around and say they're an advocacy group that simply cares about themselves is a total lie. It's a denial of reality. It's that kind of lie. You are in denial of reality. The robust infrastructure of women's rights organization exists because women invested their time, energy, and resources into building it. Men must be willing to do the same. Men can't do that unless you get rid of the fantasies, unless you come to terms with who your enemy is. Women are the class enemy of men. All men's issues come from women. Women advocacy groups, who causes their problems supposedly? The lie is that we men do, because it's not an advocacy group. It's a hate group. So when men advocate for ourselves, we have to recognize where our issues come from. The opposite sex. And yes, that's our sisters and our mothers and our daughters. Right? Let's see. Like our collective silence has real consequences. Yep, exactly. Family court systems often operate without balanced consideration of fathers' roles. Why is that? Who advocates for the imbalance? The wives, right? Education outcome for boys have declined. Yes, and why is that? Because people do not like boys. You have to come to terms, right? This is just more men disliking men and boys, right? Now, breaking the cycle, call to action. Okay, let's see. Breaking the cycle. The time has come to break the cycle of apathy. As men, we must recognize that waiting for others to advocate for our behalf is both unrealistic and ineffective. So who's the others? Because men is 50% of the population. So who's the others? Women. In other words, you've been waiting for women to be nice to you. are the opposing team that work for against themselves for us. That is true blue coping, a true blue denial of reality. This isn't about adopting an adversarial stance towards women's advocacy. Okay, then you're not serious. Because women's advocacy is actually men's harms. That's what it actually is. So if you're not going to thwart that, if you're not going to be against that, you are not going to fight for men's rights. It's that simple. We should learn from their successful organization strategy and develop approaches that address our unique challenges. Right, right. Well, it's not just that they organize. What's the motivation behind their organization? To demonize us. So if you're going to adopt their winning strategy, you'd have to adopt that too, right? Now look at this. I urge you to consider these concrete steps. Join existing men's advocacy organizations focused on constructive solutions rather than grievance. Really? So men shouldn't be able to talk about the grievances. I mean, you can't be constructive without admitting that men have grievances. So failure. Donate to charities addressing men's health. Useless unless these charities are actually not like you and dealing with the harsh reality. Contact elected representatives about policies affecting men and boys. That's worked in South Korea, but the South Korean men recognize that feminists are their enemy. Let's see. Start conversations about the issues in your community. Useless unless you're willing to be truthful. Attend protests like Parental Alienation Day. Parental Alienation Day. Who does the parental alienation? Michael Thompson. The wives do. They're our class enemy. Now, in the chat, I've actually said all this to them. Now, do I have much hope that these guys are going to listen and heed? No. I mean, that's why the men's rights has been useless for the 50 years it has existed. You guys don't want to admit that you worship women, and when women attack you, you're willing to take it. You're not willing to admit that they are our enemies. That's why. And for you to succeed, you have to become self-aware of what your motivations are, your animalistic motivations. Two, you have to fight your animalistic motivations, right? The reason you're not a shoplifter is because you fight your animalistic instincts to take what you want. And this is the same idea here. You've got to admit what motivates you. You've got to admit what motivates the women. And you have to act on that. Maybe then the apathy will dry up. Maybe the apathy will dry up if men come to terms with their animalistic instincts and reject them. Thank you.